I got kicked off because of my music. We back. What's up? Hi, Coco. Drop your questions in the chat. Let me just put this little pinned message here. I was listening to a Rufus DeSalle set and then it like kicked me off because of copyright. So I was like, I think that means I have to dance to techno. So we shall see. Hopefully I don't get booted again. Already so gassed. Today will be a short one. Running Man question. Cool. Let me know that you can hear me. I'll turn this down a little bit, but just claim you can hear me while my techno bops in the background. Okay, so the question is, I'm having trouble getting my Running Man up to 125, 130 BPM. Your speed workshop was super helpful, but wondering if there are any other things I should be doing. Okay, cool. So inside of the speed workshop in S.H.R.E.D On Demand, I would say that what I recommend there is probably the main things that I recommend. So if I'm not mistaken, it's been a minute since I've seen those workshops, but it's where we are drilling specific moves, specific combos, and working them up to speed, right? So what I would recommend doing on top of that is, like, if it's mainly your Running Man that you're struggling with getting up to that 125, 130 BPM, or honestly any speed threshold, like if you're watching this and that's too fast for you or your speed threshold is currently higher, the same rules apply with your Running Man. So what I'm gonna recommend is a couple things. A few of them for you, Coco, will be review, because some of the things in the workshop are just like, that's just the first answer. But I'll give you some other things too. Okay, let me tap so the comments go away. If you want to see more of my feet, just tap so the comments go away. Okay, so with your Running Man, there are two things that could potentially be slowing down your Running Man. Not that these are bad things, but as you're trying to build up to your speed threshold, these are the first two things that I would reduce intentionally. Number one is the height of your knee. So making sure that if you normally are coming to this 90-degree angle, don't be afraid to drop that hip down, still keeping this shin parallel to an invisible wall, so nice width between the elevated leg and the base leg, but drop that hip down just a little bit so the distance from the floor is smaller. So as of right now, I'm gonna turn this down a hot second more. Let me just make sure. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna hold on to the wall because I'm gonna be here for a little bit. So dropping this down is gonna be essential, because in order to complete a Running Man rotation at a faster speed, you need to have less distance to travel. So the distance between my foot and the floor is significantly smaller here than it would be here, right? The amount of time that a song gives us doesn't change, right? Beat, 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 beat. Every beat is the same distance apart. So we can't change the speed, but we can change how quickly we get from point A to point B. That brings me to the next piece, which is, so adjusting the height of your knee, number one. And then number two, adjusting the distance of your triangle or your open position. So most people, a comfortable open position is kind of like a lunge position. I feel like it just feels the most natural. We have like a nice bend in both knees here. My body is stacked in the center for the most part. I would recommend bringing the feet even closer to your center of gravity and making sure to either keep your upper body completely upright, or you could slightly hinge it forward so it's a little bit over the the front leg. But be careful that when you're stepping down, I'm not stepping this elevated leg under my body. I'm not taking it from in front of me and shooting it back. I'm leaving it in front of me, but potentially, this is optional, I'm gonna bring my upper body to the foot. So if I were to be upright, I'm still in the center of my feet. This foot's not under me, right? It's still in front of me, and you can slightly lean forward into it a little bit. I think for right now, being upright would be helpful. I'll come check the comments in a second. Being upright would be helpful, and keeping it small, okay? Having a smaller triangle, oftentimes people are like, oh, it's not powerful, it's not this, it's not that. I completely disagree. I think that a low knee, but like using a lot of your intention and muscle to go into a smaller triangle and a smaller flamingo is still really powerful. There's a way that this could be done like kind of like sloppy willy-nilly, right? Or this could be really intentional. Pop, 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 right? And so that's gonna be the next thing that I'm gonna bring up to you, and that's gonna be paying really close attention to how you're activating your muscles. So number one, making sure the core is always tight. So that would look like, there's lots of YouTube videos for those of you who don't know how to activate your core. I won't do a whole lesson on that today, but trying your best, not sucking in, but trying your best to draw your belly button into your spine and imagining your rib cage knitting in to each other, okay? So everything's pulling into the core, really nice and tight. That's number one. Number two, we're gonna think about the actual driving motion of that running man. So not only are we thinking, okay, we wanna bring it to a slightly lower knee if we're trying to work on a faster BPM, but the rate that we're using our hip and our pelvis to pull that knee up is gonna be really, really important to keep that power and to be able to get there faster. I want you to think of it as like kind of just like lobbing a ball, and it's like, or like a slingshot, right? So we want to slingshot that leg to hit up against an imaginary wall. You're gonna use your hips, so your core should already be tight at this point, from both of your knees being bent in your like small triangle, which we'll talk about in a second. I want you to think about pulling your core and your pelvis and wrapping it under just slightly. So we're not going for a full pelvis tuck here, but we just want to make sure that this hip that's elongated back here can actually rotate in. And so if you notice, I'm gonna strip down for y'all a little bit. If I'm here, I'm gonna pull here. So notice that I'm actually slightly tucked in here. I'm not like this. I'm wrapped under, this hip is activated. When you get to this point, everything should be flexed. So my quad right now, I can knock on it and it's hard. My glute is flexed at this point, so squeezing in that bum cheek and the surroundings. And then my foot is also flexed. Whether you want to point your toe or flex your foot here doesn't matter, but I would pick one or the other because that's going to engage the calf and you're going to have full muscle flex from the glute all the way down, giving you more power. The more your muscles are engaged and activated intentionally, the faster you're going to be able to move to a faster BPM. Because instead of just trying to like throw your body into it willy-nilly, all of your larger major muscles are working together. Like think of like a perfectly well-oiled machine. That's basically what it's going to be. So it takes you from, I'll show you, I'll give you an example with techno, and then I'll come to answer questions. Or I'll come to look at the comments. Okay, so I'll show you here. Pull, pull, pull. Okay. So for me, I wouldn't say this is a BPM that I'm like really comfortable at. Like for example, doing multiple running mans in a row is hard. So even right now, like my current speed threshold is like psytrance, that type of genre. I don't know exactly what the speed is because they all vary. But like if I were to try to, I could do it, but I'd be really gassed trying to do a running man for like 16 counts, you know, like 2 counts of 8 back to back to that speed. Because regardless, the speed still takes it out of you. So what I would recommend is train them in 2 counts of 8. So do a count of 8 of running man, drilling in the way that I just showed you. Another count of running man back to back, take a break. Then drill it again. That way you're kind of working in spurts. You're building up your stamina. You're not completely gassing yourself out, but you can also stop, pause, and reevaluate your technique, your positioning, and your muscle control. Because if you do, sometimes even after 8 running mans, things start to fall apart, right? I know for me it does. I'll probably watch that video back, what I just did, and be like, oh yeah, it fell apart after that. Because we need, especially if this isn't something that like you've been working on for a long time, for example, and even for me, like I know it, but applying it is a whole different thing, right? I have to still prompt myself to remind myself to have these little pieces of technique in there. And so giving yourself a break after 2 counts of 8 can be really, really helpful to like reset, bring your brain's focus back onto what you're doing, and then start again. And that way you're gonna be drilling it in like the most positive way, not that your like form starts to slip and that's being drilled into your muscle memory. That also applies to, where are my comments here? Oh, that also applies to any other move. So if you're wanting to work up your T-step or your scissors or whatever, take those similar like speed tips, muscle tips, and apply them to that move to be able to get it to go faster. Yeah. Okay, review is good. What are you listening to? I'm listening to, oh shit, I can't show you, I'm on my phone. It's SoundCloud, it's Danny Avila, Mainstage Techno. That's the name of the, I think that's the name of the like show. I'm not entirely sure. Danny Avila is the artist. I can send it to you after in the Shuffle Shred group, Tate. Yes, and there's a bunch of them, they're really good. Okay, cool, drop your questions, drop your shuffle questions. Seeing the body position and thinking about how all the muscles work together really helps. Thank you, yes. That is super key. Like anytime, this isn't just with speed, this is if you're trying to feel more clean, if you're trying to hit a move or a sequence or like a variation that you haven't been able to hit. Usually it's because the body mechanics aren't, it's not that they're like not working together, but they're not working together as efficiently as they could be. Hello, hello. Okay, cool. Drop your shuffle questions, any questions that you have for your own flow, any questions that you have for me, for my, like how I practice or mindset questions, anything like that, drop it. Bihafa, were you just explaining the running man? I was, did you miss it? I'm gonna save this and post it. I don't know when, but I think if I go live once a week, I'm gonna try maybe swapping out tutorial Tuesday or tutorial Thursday with dropping the lives. That way you can actually like watch and get a whole ass masterclass. So I will drop this. But Bihafa, you know that I could give you direct feedback on that running man. So just reach out whenever you're ready. You already have such an amazing foundation, so if you want any of these other tips, I can deliver them in the membership for you. Okay, cool. Pop in any other questions that you have. I'll probably be on here maybe 10, 15 minutes more, so make sure you drop them in now. This is not a shuffle move. This is my sweat all over my floor. Hopefully you're setting the tone in this sesh. I was literally just thinking to myself, I'm like, this sesh doesn't feel great, but I'm on live, so I gotta keep going. And that's the God honest truth. There are gonna be so many sessions where you're like, this just doesn't feel good, and that's completely fine. I'm happy I'm here. I'm like combating the dialogue in my head that's like, that's repetitive. You already did that. You did that in the last round. Like, doesn't matter. I'm here. I'm dancing, I'm teaching, I'm hanging out with y'all, and that's what matters. Learn to self-coach. Coach your brain. With that said, actually, this is actually good. So the thoughts in my brain right now are, this is repetitive. I don't have that much energy right now, which is just true. And my floor is really sticky because my sweat was dripping, so now my floor feels really sticky. So I just told you how I'm gonna like fix my thoughts about that, but I decided that I'm gonna change the intention of my session slightly. I'm gonna do a sock session, which if anyone's watching this, please be careful dancing in socks. Please be careful. You're gonna notice I'm not going hard. I'm not doing a crazy running man in these socks, keeping it very, very chill. And my original intention coming into this session was to work on connectivity. So I'm gonna continue with that. And even if it means my footwork is super minimal or super chill and relaxed, that's where I'm gonna go with my session. So catching the mindset and switching things when necessary, switching it up. Already it feels better. So already the stress and the pressure that I had before is gone. So sometimes it's just about adjusting. I'm not saying it's not gonna come back, but I'm saying it's gone. Kevin says, have you ever thought of going live while doing a battle prep? No, only because to me, my battle prep is like sacred time. And I don't want to feel like I have to like perform. You know what I mean? Subconsciously, like I'm on live here. As soon as the camera's on, truly, that's when we start to feel like there's a performative aspect, whether we are consciously thinking that or not. And so I like to just be like totally in my zone and actually like clocked out from the outside world. So yeah. Drop your shuffle questions. All right, I'm gonna take one more question before I hop off. Hop it in. We got our final question. Hi, Cherry. One second. Okay. When it comes to micro bounce, what's the best tip to control the bounce without it looking overly exaggerated or stiff? Is it mostly in the core, knees, hips, toes, or heels? Head and shoulders, knees, and toes. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. My number one top tip for micro bounce, to have it looking more controlled and not stiff, is, it's gonna blow your mind. bouncing, okay? I'm calling that what it is. There is a bounce. But I want you to look at it less as a hop. So when you're actually, can I clarify here, Cherry? Are you talking about a micro bounce when you're using it like with a T-step, for example? So you're using it like in place or in addition to your T-step to like travel across the floor. Confirm that for me, because micro bounce can be used as like a type of movement and a way that we move, which is what I just described, but it can also be used as a concept in shuffling. Like many moves in shuffling and cutting shapes have a micro bounce element to them. For example, cutting shapes, we know, has a hoppy element to it. So I just want to clarify, I think you're talking about this type of micro bouncing, right? That lends itself more to the Melbourne style, but I just want to confirm. Yes, for travel. Okay, cool. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Yes, there's a bounce, of course, but I want you to look at it less as like hopping up and down and your foot actually leaving and returning to the floor. And I want you to think of two things. First thing is, this is only in the base leg. The tapping foot doesn't really matter because you're gonna pick similar things to your T-step. But I want you to think of, being very heavy with this. So you're not wanting to like get light and airy and bouncy to try to move back. That's actually where it looks stiff and it looks staccato, okay? Staccato is basically, it's like choppy and consistent, right? Like pop, 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 pop. We don't want it to look that way. We want it to look fluid and almost like wavy. So you're gonna actually stay really, really heavy. And the second reason, I'm actually gonna switch feet here. The second reason is because while your knee is bent, I want you to think of actually just using this bent knee and your glutes to wind up and drag your body back rather than popping back. So I'm going to show you again. This is my bouncing knee. I'm going to think about my ankle, or my heel I should say, and kind of like the outside of my foot, because oftentimes while we're micro bouncing, we're not just going straight back, we're actually opening up so that we can transfer at one of our diagonals, right? Similar to in our rock. And so you're gonna think of kind of like the back diagonal corner of your heel, yes, very specific, as pulling you. Someone's got a rope, but your foot is stuck on a magnet to the floor, and you're gonna pull back in that sense. So staying grounded, using this bend to wind up, but you're not gonna unbend entirely and jump. You're going to stay bent, drag back, and then soften into that bend again. Drag, soften. Drag, soft, drag, soft, drag, soft. And then on the other leg, drag, soft, drag, soft, drag, soft. Obviously, I'm doing it very slow, so this is gonna happen a lot quicker, but that's what's gonna take your mind. And also, I'm in socks right now. So like, just be mindful that this is going to look and feel smoother and easier in socks versus in shoes, but you absolutely still should practice in shoes. The only reason I'm not in shoes is because my sweat's dripping all over my floor and I keep getting stuck, and that's dangerous. So if you are gonna practice this in socks just to try to get the feeling, please make sure you practice it in shoes as well, because nobody's going to a festival barefoot, I don't think, okay? So showing you the difference now between hop, 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 open, hop, 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 open, versus drag, 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 open, drag, 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 open, drag, 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 open, drag, 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 open. Ta-da! Any follow-up questions? What comes up when I say that? Tate says, great question. I agree. So think of it as a micro drag rather than, we call it a micro bounce, that's fine, but the motion you're doing, you're bouncing from the knee, not the foot, right? So there's a slight hop, but we also want to drag and stay heavy and bent into it. Great question, great answer. Stars. Kokorimo stars! Yes. Okay, cool. Alrighty. I don't know how to do scissors very fast. Okay, I'm going to, I think you jumped in late, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I shouldn't read comments and talk at the same time. I'm going to upload this, probably not this week, probably next week, just because I upload things at a certain rate. And so I talked about getting the Running Man faster, and all the tips that I applied there can be used with your scissors or any other movement. So go back and watch the replay when I share this. Just remember this shirt and look for it. Or I'll probably go live another time this week, potentially Friday. I'm not entirely sure, don't hold me to that, but make sure you come on live every single time I'm live, because you can ask me any question, and if you want to go specifically into doing the scissor a little bit faster, then I can definitely help you with that or any other cutting shapes moves. Rich, your foot is tapping on which part of the beat? Your foot is tapping, it's tapping down on the base. So this is the last thing I'm doing, so I'm not actually answering anything big. As you're dragging back, your foot is tapping down on the beat. So, boom, you pull up on the hi-hat into your flamingo, into your perch, shh, drop it, boom, pull it, shh, drop it, boom, pull it, shh. So the same as your T-step, you're gonna tap to emphasize the beat, and you're gonna elevate on the hi-hat, which is the and count. Yeah. Cherry says, thanks, Alex. I feel like I was flailing everywhere. I can't wait to practice that drag. Yeah, it can get flaily. I feel that. Sometimes I feel flaily in my microbounce too. Okay, that is all for today. Thank you, friends. I will post this very soon in the next couple weeks. And let me know if you are enjoying these lives. I like being here. I like chatting with you. If you are interested in getting direct feedback from me, so if you have specific questions about your flow, I offer that in the S.H.R.E.D membership. It's $23 a month. You can cancel anytime. You come in, join us, hang out with the community, get the feedback, come to the meetups, go to the mindset calls, do weekly check-ins, accountability, all that good stuff. If you're interested in that, just send me a message, or you can hit up the link in my bio and I'll answer any questions that you have. Hope you guys have a great day. Loving y'all so much. Peace.